Hello and welcome to Bernedoodle's Barnyard. So today I'd like to do a reintroduction for all of my new subscribers and future viewers. My name is Renee. My dog is a standard Bernedoodle. He's 116 pounds. His name is Boris, and he's the inspiration for the name of this channel. It's haircut day! Ready, Boris? Let's go! Let's go! Get in there. I asked them to make my Bernedoodle look like a hound, so he's nice and clean. He can eat all the mud he wants without getting mats, and it'll grow back fast. So, hey buddy, feeling good? Nice and cool? It'll be great for the summer. My husband and I have our homestead in southeastern Connecticut. We live on 26.5 acres. And I can't stress this enough, you do not need that much land to homestead. If you have 3/4 of an acre, that's a great start. You can do most of what you need on that. We only use about 2 of our acres actually for the animals in the garden. Most of our land is wooded, which we don't do anything with except for feed the deer and a tiny bit of foraging. And our backfield is hayed. Our neighbor does that for us. So we do get our hay off of our own property. But you don't need to do that to start a homestead. So as long as you have 3/4 of an acre, 2 acres is great. You can do a lot with that. So the reason why I homestead, other than the fact that I love the animals and the gardening, is because I want to provide healthier food for my family. I'm trying to get away from the toxins in the food system by raising as much of my own meat and vegetables as I can. I homeschool my 3 kids along with my husband and my wonderful mother. They're the reasons why I work so hard to grow our own food, because I want them to be healthy. I don't want them to be sick from the food they're eating. So currently my livestock consists of 9 dairy goats. They're Nigerian dwarfs. So they're a very small breed. They don't produce the most milk, but they do produce the most cream you can get from that milk. And they're easier to handle. Having a smaller goat, you can pick them up if you have to. They're just a lot easier. I'm actually going to be getting away from the meat goats. I have 3 meat goats that I will be rehoming. So they're no longer going to be part of our homestead. I just decided that since we're breeding them to our smaller buck, the amount of meat we're getting for the effort just isn't worth it. This is Blue. She's the bottle baby I raised last spring, and she's a wonderful milker and mother. And I have 3 more that we're keeping from this year's baby herd. So next year I'll have 9 in the milk rotation. This year I'm milking 6. This lady here is Rue, R-U-E. She's one of my original goats. Her and her sister Ginny and their brother Marvin. I got them from my cousin, and we've had them since 2020. This is Ginny, Rue's sister. She's a very snuggly, loving goat. This is Bellatrix. I picked her up with her sister Nymphadora. They are 2022 kids, I believe. I'll have to go double check that. But she has been disbudded. I really prefer my herd animals to be horned. I like the horns. They help them regulate their temperature. And also, I just think they're really pretty. But I do have a few goats in my herd that are not horned. So Bellatrix is one of them. Her horns were removed as a kid. And luckily, she does not have any scurs. A lot of goats, when they have their horns removed as a kid, will have these really ugly growths called scurs. And luckily, the 2 I have that are disbudded do not have that. This girl's name is Nymphadora. Unlike her sister Bellatrix, she was not disbudded. As I found out the first year I bred her, she's polled, so she's naturally hornless. They never burnt her horns off. She just was made this way. So her children have a 50-50% chance of being polled as well. Hi, baby. My new buck, Rubble, is also a polled goat. So all of his offspring, when I breed him next year, will have a 50% chance of being hornless. So last but not least, this is my second disbudded doe, Lavender. She was sort of a rescue. The family that had her said she's so aggressive, we can't keep her with the rest of our goats. Honestly, she's one of the most passive of my goats. She's very sweet and calm, so I'm not sure what they were talking about, but maybe she just didn't fit in with their herd. She's a wonderful goat. She's going on 6 years now, so she's an old girl, but she's wonderful, and she's mother to Blue. So homesteading is a very fluid way of life. We're constantly changing things and trying to improve our farm. It'll never be the same. Until I die, it's probably going to be different every year because we're trying to improve things all the time. This year we're going to be redoing our garden if we can afford it. We're trying to figure out the materials. I'm going to be expanding it by 15 feet in length and making it all raised beds. So that'll be a really wonderful improvement to the homestead. When all is said and done, my garden should be 35 by 70 foot. I plan on having a 7-foot walkway in the middle so that we can get the tractor in if we would like to. And then 4 by 8 foot beds on either side. I'm going to have 18 to 20 raised beds. And then I'd also like to find a place to put some flowers in there. So we'll see what happens with that. I also started an orchard a couple of years ago. We have 4 apple trees, 2 peach trees, and some kiwi vines. This year, if we can, we're going to try to fence around the whole thing to protect it from the deer and also to give the trees more space because right now I just have some small cages around them. I'd like to eventually add a second arbor for grapes and blueberries and maybe a couple more fruit trees. So we'll see what happens with that in the next couple of years, but hopefully this year we get to fencing it. We'll see. Most of my meat consists of venison, which we hunt on the property, and rabbit meat. I really enjoy the rabbit meat. The reason I raise rabbits instead of other animals, say like chicken meat, is much cleaner. I enjoy butchering it more because I don't like plucking chickens or touching the meat is slimy. I feel like the rabbit's a much healthier and cleaner meat. It also has a lot more protein than chicken. Since our homestead has the purpose of only growing our own food, I'm not selling any of it. It's not a business, but it does have to be treated like a business. So very often I will replace animals that I don't think are being as productive as I'd like them to be because you can't get too attached to them. Even though I treat them as good as I would any pet, I make sure they have the best life and that they only have one bad day if I'm butchering them. But at the same point, they are livestock, not pets. So very often I will swap out animals if I don't feel like they're being productive. And if I find a better replacement animal, I will replace animals. So my intention long term is to replace every rabbit in my herd because they're not the best I can get. They're not producing the most meat that they can for the animals that they are. And I will eventually be replacing them with much better quality animals. I raise standard Rex rabbits. This girl, her color is called Lynx, and she's one of my new additions. I'm keeping her off of one of my newer mothers. So right now I have 6 does I'm breeding and 2 bucks. I will be hopefully upping that number to 8, and I will be replacing a few of my does with better stock this year. I also have a friend who's getting some really beautiful stock out of state, so maybe next spring I might replace everybody in the herd with stock that she's getting because they are just much better quality. So the standard Rex is a medium-sized rabbit. They have a very good meat-to-bone ratio, meaning you get more meat from the weight of the animal. You want to avoid miniature rabbits and giant rabbits. Neither are great for meat. The Rex is one of the heritage breeds that's wonderful. I'd also recommend Silver Fox, Californians, New Zealand's are wonderful. They're a really big rabbit also. The Rex is also bred for their fur. They have a very velvet fur. It's beautiful for making pelts. It's not something I'm very good at, so I do not tend to tan my rabbit hides, but eventually I will be doing a few. I believe that all animals that are meant for meat should only have one bad day in their life. So I treat my animals as kindly as I can. They're given the same quality of life I would any pet. And then when it's their day, and I try to make it as quick and painless as possible. And that's just how livestock should be. So I have 3 males on the property. This is my newest addition. I haven't named him yet. He is Boulder's son. I will be rehoming Boulder. This is my buck Rubble. Rubble! This boy is Marvin. He is my wether. I use him as a companion animal when I need one that can't get the girls bred, and a companion for the bucks. He is Jenny and Rue's brother. I have 9 laying hens. Right now I think that's all I can have in the space I have for them. I'd like to eventually have more once I upgrade their coop. They're giving me between 6 and 9 eggs a day right now. It's June. So we're raising, I'd say, about 90% of our own meat. Our biggest store-bought purchase is probably in turkey pepperoni. So at some point I'll need to learn how to make pepperoni myself. We're raising most of our own vegetables most years, but this year almost all of it is from the store, except for what I have in the freezer from other years because I did not plant a spring garden this year. We're going to try to plant some vegetables after we get the raised beds in. I can all of my own soup stock and tomatoes. That's most of what my canning goods consist of at this point. And we're buying all of our grains and fruits from the store, except for the few peaches that we get and all the strawberries I just picked. At this point, almost all of our dairy is coming off of our Nigerian dwarf goats, which is awesome. Occasionally I'll buy a cheddar or something special that I cannot make the same with the goats. I have not mastered the cheddar yet, so it doesn't quite taste the same, and sometimes you just need a nice cabot. But my goal is to make all of our dairy eventually. Thanks for watching, guys. Please remember to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. We'll see you next time on Bernedoodle's Barnyard. Please drop any questions in the comments. I'd love to answer them, and talk to you soon.